So this is where things get a little bit interesting now. We're going to add some logic to make our player do some more interesting things. First thing to do is on the player on the right objects menu, we're going to hit the three buttons and we're going to hit edit object variables. So an object variable is essentially just, think of it as a thing. I'm going to click to add variable down here. A thing that keeps track of something. That's oversimplified on purpose, but just bear with me, and as we go through this, you'll see why this, and hopefully this will make sense. So I'm going to create a variable called health. This is going to track our player's health. I'm going to just set it to 1, so in other words, after one collision with an enemy, the player character will die. You could set it to more than 1, but it's just easier right now to handle a single life for our character or player. So setting health to 1, I'm hitting apply, and just to be clear, that health variable only applies to player. It doesn't apply to platform, and the reason for that is object variables. You can set variables that can apply to multiple objects, but we're not going to worry about that right now, and in fact not in this video at all. So now that we've set the health to 1, let's go to level 1 events at the top here, this tab. Alright, so you'll see here that there are no events, and it says to add your first event using the first buttons of the toolbar. So this is the toolbar, and we'll be adding an event with this button here, add a new empty event. Condition, an event is essentially a condition and an action. When this condition is true, it performs this action. Things can get complicated quickly, but we're going to use an organizational system. We're going to hit this plus button here, and we're going to add a comment, and the comments are going to keep track of sections of our events. So this will be player movement, and this is going to control the player animations. So you'll see what I mean in a second. Let's click add condition, scroll down to platform behavior, and yes, it's very easy to get lost in this. You can try this search bar, but if you follow along with this video, you shouldn't have any problems. So platform behavior, we're going to do is jumping, we're going to do player, and hit OK. We're going to add another condition, so you'll see that in this box we can add another condition, and we'll choose platform behavior is falling, player, hit OK. And so this will be to play the jumping animation. So when either of these is true, like the player is falling, the player is jumping, we're going to add an action for playing the animation. So sprite, animations and images, change the animation by name, player, and so the animation name, it goes in quotation, double quotation marks, and this is very important. Make sure you have these, and the name of our animation is jump. So jump in quotation marks. This means that let's hit OK at the bottom. So this means that when the player is jumping or falling, the animation of the player is set to jump. Let's take a look at what we've accomplished here. We can just hit this play button at the top, move this window over here, and we will jump. You see that the animation switched. Unfortunately now, when we're on the ground and we're not jumping or falling, it's still playing our jump animation. Let's close this for a second. So now we have to add a little bit more logic. Let's add a new empty event. And this will be when the player is on the floor. So scroll down, hit platform behavior, is on floor, player, OK. Now we're also going to add another condition, and this other condition will be that the variable, so common conditions for all objects, variables, value of an object's variable, the player, so the variable will be health, and it pre-populates this, so you don't have to type it, is equal to 0. So we're going to invert this condition. Now, just to make it clear what this means, this is saying when the player's health is not equal to 0, and this invert condition means not. So in other words, when the player is alive and has some health. Hit OK. So we now have these two conditions, and we can now add up here a sub-event. So sub-events kind of like, check this condition, and then, once this is true, check this nested condition. So now we're going to do this. We're going to scroll down and hit platform behavior, and we're going to do is moving, player, hit OK, and we're going to add one more sub event. And you'll note I accidentally added a sub event to our sub event, but we want it at the same level, so I'm clicking the blue rectangle and dragging it out. We want another condition for when platform behavior is moving, player, and now we're inverting it, so this is when they're not moving. So you see this red arrow on the left here, it means not, so not moving. We are going to set the animation of the character to idle. So we're going to go sprite, animations, change animation by name. So this one, I believe, is when it was, the one I clicked on was not moving, so we're going to change it to idle. Again, remember the double quotation marks, hit OK. So, and then up here, when the player is moving, we're going to set it to walk. Sprite, animations, images, change animation by name, player, walk. Okay. Now let's see what we've done. Hit the play button at the top. I'm going to drag the window up, and we're going to see, okay, when moving, the character's walk animation is playing. When moving backwards, the character doesn't flip yet, but the walk animation is playing, and when stopped, the character is idle. Now let's jump. And you see that the jump animation isn't playing, and you might be scratching your head at this. I kind of intentionally left this in. I'll show you what the problem is. The animation actually is playing, it's just the frames are moving too slowly for us to see it, because the jump only happens in like a quarter of a second, and each frame takes 0.2 seconds. I think the first 3 frames are basically the character standing still. So let's close this, go back to level 1, hit the 3 dots to the side for player, edit object, go down, and if you see jump, we have 0.2. Let's make it 0.02, and hit apply. So now we have 0.02 seconds between each frame. Go back to level 1 events, hit the play button at the top, and you'll see here that the character is now flailing their arms. This is the animation we wanted. The timing could probably be a bit better, but I'm just going to leave it for the sake of demo in this video. You know, when you're doing it yourself, you may want to try different timings. So let's close that, and just so you know, that's going to be a common problem you'll run into with animations, is the timing between frames might be a bit off. Anyways, let's now continue. We're actually going to add some sub events with this button at the top here to do the character flip. So right now I'm controlling the character on my keyboard with the arrow keys. You may have noticed if you're following along that WASD keys don't work. We can add support for that, but probably not in this video, because we're just going to use the arrow keys for now. So let's hit add condition, and then we're going to do keyboard, we're going to do key pressed, and we're going to do the left key. So just keep scrolling down until you see, here it is, left, hit OK. And similarly here, we're going to just add a sub event and add one for when the right key is pressed. Scroll down, right, hit OK. So we're going to flip the character when the key is pressed. So if we hit add action, alright, and so now I always have trouble finding this one. I can never remember what tab it's in, so I'm going to show you the search feature here. I'm just going to type flip, and so we're going to hit flip object horizontally, player, and activate flipping when the left key is pressed, yes. So in other words, when we hit left, the animation will flip, and now for when right key is pressed, similarly we'll search, we'll look for flip object horizontally, player, and now on activate flipping we're going to hit no, so we want the default image, which is the character facing to the right, so hit OK. And we're going to add one more thing before we do our next demo, so I'm going to hit add new event. So you'll notice I made a sub event, but again we're just going to click the blue rectangle and drag it out to the farthest leftmost option. We're not going to put a condition because this is going to just happen all the time. We're going to hit add action, I'm going to type camera, we're going to center camera on object, so player. And what this will do is it's basically just going to keep the camera on the player so that the player is always at the center of the screen. It's just convenient for when we're playing. We'll hit OK. Great. And so now we have everything set up to do our kind of finish the first part of this project. So you'll see the camera's following the player. When we move, it moves to the right. When we move left, he moves to the left. When we jump, he flails about. Okay. Thanks for watching part 1 of this Create a Viral Mobile Platform Game series. There will be a few more parts, probably one every week for the next few weeks until I kind of run out of immediate ideas for the game, and I'm looking for suggestions though. If you want to know how to do a particular thing, like maybe collect coins or add multiple levels to your game, just leave a comment below and let me know. See you in part 2.